Young Farmer of the Year finalist, Agmart student, Kellogg's leadership member and Nuffield scholar Paul McGill has a pretty impressive CV and a good future in the industry. He's currently managing the Reynolds family farm, Mayfield, in the Wairarapa.
Farm ownership to me is not the be-all and end-all. I'm quite happy in the role where I am at the moment, managing a property, whether it's a family farm like this or a bigger operation. I still treat any farm I manage as one I own, and I haven't obviously the capital tied up now in farming. Does make it hard. It's not unachievable. In 2007, we won 2 awards in the Wellington Regional Farm Environment Awards, and then in 2008, this farm won the Wairarapa Farm Business of the Year. I guess I've been lucky enough in terms of mentoring, having people around me that have supported me and given me direction. Sam Robinson comes to mind. He was chairman of Agmart at the time. He's current chair of Agri-Research. So he's been a good mentor. This business is owned by Jim and Lois Reynolds and their family. They've got 4 kids. And it's been in their family since 1865, so the kids are now 5th generation. And it's always been a mixture of the two, livestock and cropping, depending on year and depending on management in terms of what is that mix. And I've always been prepared to back my ideas. Obviously you've got to back some of that up with numbers to make it work, but they've been very supportive, and I guess having travelled a bit, that's led to some new opportunities that we've been doing here, and I've tried to implement them. Farm's performing really well. I think it's been a very challenging 6 years in terms of the climate conditions. Obviously the East Coast had the 3 years of drought, and then we had a very wet winter last year. And I guess the rewarding thing from my point of view is, on the management side, is we've been able to keep the income pretty constant, which has been quite an achievement, I feel, considering the climate extremes and also the volatility in commodities at the moment. There's definitely the KPIs in terms of how many lambs I want to finish a year, what my crop yield's going to be, what percentage of farm's going to be in crops and things like that. But again, flexibility's been the key with these dry years. You're just having to, if you get to the end of autumn and you haven't got any grass to finish lambs on, well, you've got to just look at the situation you're in and be confident to make a decision to change that, rather than just going along with it because you're stuck in, this is what we need to do, rather than these are the opportunities we could take from here. Challenges would be definitely climate. I know some of those things that aren't able to be changed, but we're trying to change what we can in terms of direct drilling and things like that, and that's a big part of this operation. Other challenges is expansion, especially being close to town and the prices of land, capitalisation of properties. That is a challenge, but it's something we need to address. You always need to be growing the business, whether it's in the size of the property or in terms of what you do. You could say intensification, I'd say diversification on what we do. And they're probably the 2 main challenges. This is Endeavour. It was based out of the cash manager in Marston. It's not supported as much now, but the key feature we use it for is all the stock health, because you've got to have the animal status declarations now, so we can put all the records of any animal health in there. And also on the cropping, we need these crop rotations, especially for the peas, so I can go back and just look through and see when was the last time this paddock was in peas, and just Jim's been doing that since 1990, so we've got a good wealth, 20 years of what's happened here, and I've just been carrying that on. Cross-lot advantage is really around just the ease of management, getting the job done. You can go from being in pasture one day, spray it out into crop, or vice versa, and that really aids both the crop side and also the livestock side. The sheep really revolve around the crop a lot of the time, although if we look at it in the first probably 3 years I was here, sheep made up more than half the income. It's probably to about 40 to 45% of the income now, as we've been going more cropping. But a lot of it's around the winter side. We're buying in lambs from hill country. There's a lot of hill country farming in the Wairarapa, so I tend to buy lambs from them either via agents or privately. And then as the season comes a bit later, we buy them out of fielding But we largely supplying lean meats, and that's been my processor of choice and market of choice over the last 5 years on this property, and we're both the farmer, myself, and our shareholders in that business. 6,000 lambs to 8,000 lambs a year, depending on how much cropping we're doing at any one time. Again, mainly over that winter period, but also maybe 1,000 to 2,000 over summer. So most of the lambs would be coming in between 30 and 32 kilos, around that sort of weight range. We're trying to get them up to 45 kilos live weight plus. Well, I'm involved in the Waipa Regional Irrigation Trust, and we're looking at a Wellington Regional approach to irrigation, and the Wellington Regional Council have come on board with that in the last couple of years. I guess it's looking at the resource again and how best we use it, and I think the Waipa's got some advantages here because we are starting from a clean slate in terms of there's not much irrigation here, and I think we could set an example, being close to Wellington, on how it should be done going forward. The main irrigation users in Waipa would be either pastoral, intensive pastoral dairying, but also there's cropping operations use some water, mainly along the Rumahanga River, and also the viticulture. There's a lot of viticulture both around here where we are today and further south around Martinborough. Yep, you can have a look and see what your suggestions.
Paul also has the job of convening the grand final of the National Bank Young Farmers Contest in Masterton this year.
We're currently at Solway Park, Masterton, and we're here because the film crew are coming to a TV recce for all the venues for the Young Farmer of the Year grand final. I competed twice in the Young Farmer grand final back in 2003 and also in 2005. My role with the Young Farmer grand final is I'm the convener for the grand final for this year's National Bank Young Farmer. Yeah, there is a lot of work. I guess I'm always in a position where I put myself forward and don't say no too often, so I get landed a lot of this. But you know, I've got a lot out of the young farmers, and it's just good to be able to put a lot back into it, and that's what I'm doing. And being in the winter time, it's a quiet time of year in terms of the cropping side of the business, so I can take this opportunity to put some volunteer labour back into the community.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.